Hello to everyone coming in. We're going to get started in just a few minutes here. And as folks are trickling in, definitely introduce yourself, familiarize yourself with the buttons at the bottom of your screen. We're really excited to get started. Thanks to everyone in the chat, sharing where they're from and what they're teaching. I'm super excited to see so many folks from all over the country here. Feel free to continue introducing yourselves. I know it's just about time to start, but I'm going to give folks 1 to 2 more minutes to be able to hop on, and then we'll get started. All right, we are just about ready to get started, and people are going to keep trickling in, but don't worry, we have a recording of this available that we'll be sending out at the end of the session. So no worries about if you're a few minutes late or if you have to hop off a few minutes early, and let's get this show on the road. So welcome to our CommonLit 360 webinar. My name is Amanda and I'm on the school partnerships team at CommonLit, and I'm very excited to share more information about CommonLit 360, how you can get to teaching it right away in your classes, and sharing some information about what it's like to bring 360 to your school or your district. I am joined by my lovely colleagues, Melinda, Adelaide, and Victoria, who are going to help support me to monitor that Q&A at the bottom of our screen. They're here to help answer questions throughout the webinar. So I really want to call out the Q&A feature at the bottom of the screen, the 2 little speech bubbles. What you're using right now, the chat, that is great for introducing yourself to other educators on the webinar, but we will not be answering any questions there. You have to submit your questions through Q&A for us to be able to respond fully with links and resources to make sure you're getting all the things you need. Also, you guys have noticed this, you're muted given the size of the webinar. The only way we're going to be able to chat is through the Q&A. Great. So I want to just dive in a little bit to our agenda and set the stage of how we're going to spend the next 30 to 40 minutes together. First, I'm going to talk a little bit about who we are. If you aren't super familiar with CommonLit, or you are a CommonLit super fan and can't wait to learn about the curriculum, this webinar is for you. We cover a lot, but I just want to make sure to kind of talk a little bit about why we developed the curriculum. And then we're going to go in even further into the design and development of all of our units, go over an overview of the types of lessons and materials that are available to you. And then I'm going to give a tour of the website in the sense of looking exactly at what 360 units look like and how to assign lessons. And then we're going to wrap up with some implementation strategies for 360 and where you can go to next if you're looking for a fuller rollout. So who we are. CommonLit, if you didn't know, is a nonprofit that was founded by an educator and is still a predominantly educator or former educator full team. We have now expanded our library to over 3,000 lessons for students in grades 3 to 12. It's what we're best known for, and probably why a lot of you are here today. And what you might also know is that it's totally free for teachers. No questions asked, no strings attached. Our library will always in perpetuity be free for educators. And CommonLit 360 lessons and materials are no different. You'll be able to access those freely forever. Our lessons in the library include skills-based questions, tools to help all learners, lesson planning resources, and data tracking tools to help you measure your student success. The CommonLit library itself is so full of lessons that you could use it every week in your classroom and have it fit into your curriculum, fit into your needs. And we wanted to then up the ante of what we could offer with CommonLit 360. So the library is still there. It is still growing. It is something we are still iterating on and adding to. We actually have a few webinars in addition to this one about all of the exciting things happening there. But CommonLit 360 is our full course curriculum. I'm talking 180 days of instruction, full coverage, lesson planning materials for reading, writing, vocabulary, discussion, and something we like to call related media explorations, which is basically partner projects. And that is what we're going to be focusing on today. So I like to say that CommonLit 360 is truly the curriculum for all. It is student-centered, it is comprehensive, it is focused on rigorous grade level outcomes while still having the balance to support all learners and have options for teachers to differentiate and make the units fit for their classes. What you might know and love of CommonLit is that we have a really easy to use interface digitally, and there's a lot of benefits of using our digital program, but our curriculum also comes with fully printable options for every lesson you're going to see today. There's also tons of lesson planning options in terms of pacing. So once we go over all of our units and you see how long they take and all the options that you have, you can start to think about how you can implement it in your own classroom. And then at the end, we're also going to talk about some wraparound supports that we have available for schools and districts for a more serious rollout. Before we dive into the content of these great units, I really want to share a success story up front of how we're seeing these units work in schools. We have thousands of schools this school year fully implementing our 360 curriculum as their full core curriculum or their intensive reading curriculum in middle school and high school. And one of our best partners, Blount County, Tennessee, has actually seen significant gains over the past few years using the curriculum. They have more students scoring at on-track and mastery levels on their end of year state exam than they did prior to using 360. And the most significant growth happened in historically underserved student populations. So we're really reaching students and bringing them up to grade level and giving the supports that they need and that the teachers need to effectively just help them grow. And while the data is really impressive, I also like to emphasize how the teachers and admins and students feel being a 360 school, a 360 district. Teachers and administrators feel that there's way more time for planning and collaboration. There's greater student engagement and deeper insights in the classroom with using 360. And there's far more alignment across teachers, classes, grade levels, and schools when you use 360 units. So now we can get into the content, which I'm super excited to share with you. I know this is a lot of information on one slide, so let me walk you through it. What you're looking at is a bird's eye view of all the units available for middle school and high school with CommonLit 360. These units take 5 to 7 weeks each to complete, so you're looking at 6 to round out the year. And you'll notice that grades 6 to 10 are fully complete, and we have started developing 11th and 12th grade as well. We expect the 11th and 12th grade units, the first 3, to be done by January of 2023. And then we're going to take some feedback from teachers like you to help build out the last 3 units. But for grades 6 to 10, everything is vertically and horizontally aligned. This is incredibly important because I feel like a lot of other curriculums, and we see a lot of other curriculums, having a lot of variability between grade levels, making it hard for grade level teams to come together and say, oh, we're all working on the same outcome, or, oh, I know it's this point in the school year, it's unit 5, we're working on cross-textual literary analysis, so on and so forth. So we really worked hard to create a framework that is easy to implement quickly, but also modify to fit your district or schools or even classrooms needs. So first and foremost, unit 1s. These are our multi-genre units, our foundational 360 units that we really suggest starting with if you've never taught a 360 unit before. It teaches really great strategies and just kind of teaches the student what to expect of being a 360 student and having a 360 classroom. That unit also has the least amount of independent work, and it really scaffolds for students to get them started strong for the year. All of those units, grades 6 to 10, culminate with a single text literary analysis essay. So you know that even though you are working on different standards and have different content, that final goalpost for unit 1 is the same. And that's where that vertical alignment piece comes in. Unit 2 turns up the rigor a little bit and moves from single text literary analysis to cross-textual analysis. Unit 3 is our optional novel units. These are our first novel units for every grade. We don't provide the novel itself, but provide, chapter by chapter and in groups of chapter lessons for you to download and utilize alongside the novel if you teach it. And if you don't see a novel here that you teach right now, you can always check out our book pairings in our library for additional resources. They won't be as robust as a 360 unit, but they're a really good option. Unit 4 asks students to turn into little researchers and begin writing a research paper based on primarily informational texts and some data pieces and multimedia. And then Unit 5 brings us back to multi-genre and have some cross-textual analysis again, but kind of focusing more on author's craft. And then Unit 6 culminates the year in an argumentative essay where students are engaging in a very exciting question. So for 6th grade, Unit 6, it's the power of play, where students are debating whether or not middle schoolers should have recess. I think the 8th grade, Unit 6, debate over school time. Students are going to read informational texts about the benefits of potentially for teens starting later or earlier in the day for school. I'm sure there'll be a lot of opinions on that, especially from 8th graders, and so on and so forth. So we really wanted to make a curriculum that is engaging and exciting, has really high quality essential questions, but also has the alignment that a school or a classroom will need to make sure you're covering all the key skills. One note on pacing and just making the units work for you. While they all increase in rigor from Unit 1 to 6, if you pre-read the unit and make the decision that you might want to swap some things around, that is definitely possible. It's just really important to look at what the baseline skill at the beginning of a unit, let's say for Unit 5, might be if you wanted to move that earlier in the year. I'm going to pause now and make sure that my Q&A is all set to go. Does anyone need me to answer any questions out loud? Oh, looks like we're all good. All right, I'll keep it moving. So now that you've seen the lay of the land of all the 360 units and kind of their outcomes, I want to drill down into a particular unit and start to kind of unpack all of the great lesson materials that you have. So as a reminder, there's reading, writing, vocabulary, grammar, and discussion that all speak back to this essential question and key focus skills. When you decide to teach a unit on CommonLit, the first thing that I like to emphasize is the pacing flexibility. So every unit is designed to take 5 to 7 weeks, but we have a few key ways to support teachers. First, we tag all of our lessons with essential, recommended, or optional. So you can kind of know what you could skip if you needed to, if you only had those 5 weeks, or you just have about 4. You can kind of start to make decisions for your class. And if you partner with us, we actually have pacing and calendar planning options as well. We also have, every unit has pre-made lesson planning materials. So these are editable slide decks and Google Slides to help build background knowledge, get some excitement. We'll see this on the site in a moment, where you're able to actually go in and see, go in and immediately have all of the hook questions, the exit tickets, the exciting media that you would usually spend hours looking for. We have done the work to at least give you something to start with that's really high quality and you could use it without editing, but you also can edit and make it your own. At the core of our units are our reading lessons. Every unit includes really high quality reading lessons that clearly form a tight arc of reading instruction to hit all of the key standards and skills while constantly speaking back to that essential question. What you're looking at here is our text for 6th grade Unit 1, Characters Who Change and Grow. And the essential question focuses on, how do characters change because of different relationships and events in their life? Something that I'm really proud of is our commitment to representing diverse voices and perspectives, not just in the characters and the stories themselves, but of in our nonfiction text, in our media, in our student voice pieces. The reading lessons feature even more content than you might know CommonLit to have on our regular library. Because they are part of a core unit and they're essential, you get some lesson planning materials by way of facilitation guides. You get some clear skills focus, explicit teaching of vocabulary, as well as text-dependent questions. There's also a really amazing feature that we have on 360 reading lessons, and these are in-text instructional questions. Again, I'm going to show you this all on the website in a moment, but I just want to make sure we lay everything out for you. The in-text questions are customized for every single lesson and have students and push students to find evidence, to turn and talk to their partner, to write and annotate and mark up the text, to scaffold them to an exit ticket set of independent practice questions. What you're looking at here is a screenshot of the digital version. That was the PDF, because there's both for everything. And you still get all of the tools you know and love on CommonLit. Translate in over 35 different languages, read aloud, so text to speech that students can control, as well as suggested reading modalities, where we would suggest starting with a whole class read. You can put that actually on your digital lessons so students know they're starting with an whole class read and then moving to independent. You also can see that students are able to mark up and annotate the text. And at the end of all of that, there are those standards aligned assessment questions that CommonLit is also known for. We have rigorous grade level multiple choice and short answer questions that are meant to mimic high stakes test questions. Building upon the reading instruction is our vocabulary instruction. So students learn approximately 10 words per unit, and these are not just words we randomly choose. They're words that students are interacting with constantly in their text. They will come upon them in their core lessons, and then they will also be pushed to write with them during our writing lessons. And it's not just a vocabulary quiz and a list. We actually create 5 activities for each vocab list for you, totally done. Now, shifting gears to writing. What you're looking at here is zoomed out of that sixth grade unit 1 is our writing arc for unit 1s across 6 to 10. So again, we're looking at some vertical and horizontal alignment, even within just our writing lessons. And our writing lessons are not optional, they are not recommended, they are essential to CommonLit 360. We believe that students need to be writing about the text that they're reading to really, one, make the writing lessons sticky and make them engaging, which is a research-backed approach, but also so students have more of a stake with the characters they're reading about, with the people they're learning about. For example, for sixth grade, we start at the most granular level, breaking down a prompt. What is this question asking me to write about? And then we move on to writing a complete paragraph, starting to formulate those responses, then choosing relevant evidence, which speaks back to multiple texts that the students will have read by this time. And then finally, essay planning to proceed the single text literary analysis essay. So constantly throughout these units, we are building student ability to get that grade level mastery at the end. And this is just a quick look at a writing lesson, which again, I'll show you digitally how to find. You'll notice for this one, writing a complete paragraph, there's a sample prompt, a model response, some media for your students to engage with, and then targeted practice peppered throughout. It's a writing lesson, they're gonna write. And then here is the end of that writing lesson where they're able to toggle between the lesson, Raymond's Run, an amazing story that they had just read prior to this lesson, if you're following a unit, and being able to go back to the text and refer back through their targeted practice. But if you're more of a pen to paper kind of person with writing lessons, we have all of that in our PDF downloads as well. But my plug for doing writing online is our really easy to grade writing lessons it's on our digital platform. What you're looking at here is a quick question in one of our writing lessons. And Topanga here has highlighted different parts of her response. And me as the teacher can leave feedback and quickly grade with a rubric score of 0 to 4. And CommonLit 360 is full of opportunities for actionable data. It's not just in our writing lessons or even just in our reading lessons either. You'll be able to respond to students' free responses. You'll be able to see their responses for all of the standards aligned questions at the bottom, and then also at the end of the text, and then also at a glance data. Now, if you use CommonLit in your classroom from our library and then want to try out 360, all of the data still lives within your class and follows the student. So if Amanda, was a 9th grade student and I have a ton of CommonLit lessons from the library and I'm doing 9th grade unit 1, all of that will be together. Super easy for you to see if 360 is working for your students. But another really important thing about 360 to know is that we really do go beyond just reading and writing and vocabulary and grammar. We want our students to feel seen and engaged in the work that they're doing. So we really leverage discussion lessons and related media explorations to have students incorporate, things that are relevant to them and exciting media to really diversify the experience. All right, so now we are ready to navigate CommonLit 360 on the website. I do want to pause again and make sure, are there any Q&A questions I need to answer out loud? All right, I'm all good. Checking the chat. Awesome. Again, feel free to use that Q&A at the bottom to ask any questions you have. All right, so now I am over on commonlit.org and I'm in the library. So this is probably what you know us for and where you spend a lot of your time if you're familiar with CommonLit. And there are two main ways to get to 360. At the top, you'll see a tab that says 360 curriculum. But if you're not on the library page and anywhere else on the website, you can go to browse content, 360 curriculum, and I'll just choose 6th grade units. So when I get to this page, I'm able to unfurl this and look and get a few bits of information that you're learning right now actually on the webinar. And then I'm easily able to toggle through all the different grade levels to immediately find the units that I need. So 6th grade, if you'll remember, here are all the units that we looked at before on that slide with all the units. And we were focusing on 6th grade unit 1. So I am going to dive in there and start to explain what we got going on. So once I get to the unit page, I immediately see all the lessons I could start assigning. I see the essential question, how are people changed their relationships and experiences? But if I'm not sold on teaching it just yet, I might go to the Why Teach This Unit tab and look at all of the amazing reasons that students and teachers are going to love this unit. There's relatable protagonists. It's motivating for students. It gives a lot of opportunities for self-reflection, and it will improve your student reading and writing. And there's also a great list of really easy and quick to see what skills you're going to work on with your students. And if this looks like aligned to what you're looking for, then you can kind of start looking at the lessons and even downloading our unit guide to dig in even more. The unit guide has a ton of extra information. It actually lists out every single piece of the unit, all the texts, all the focus skills, every single lesson that's included, arc of reading and writing, links to every single lesson, even though you have it on the website. This is another place for it to be. If I was teaching this unit, I would pin this or bookmark it or even print it out. And we also have a sample at the end. I'm going to keep scrolling. A sample pacing calendar. This assumes 45 minutes of daily instruction. If that does not fit with what you have, you can easily adjust and make decisions based on your own. But we just have this here as a really nice baseline to see how might this work in a classroom that has 45 minutes of ELA instruction. We have this available for every single unit, all grades. And if you are ready and you're sold, which I would be because I think this unit is perfect for 6th graders, I would be able to look and start to begin teaching the unit. So I might start with my unit introduction. And like I said before, there's links to slide decks and Google Docs that you can easily open to start your unit. And it's going to have you copy that document because it's going to be all yours. There isn't just one unit introduction slide deck. It actually creates one custom for you every time you click the link. So then you can edit it and say, Miss Riddle's class, all right, all my students can sit here, or open up your books or open up your laptops. But what you have existing and already made for you is a really great primer to the unit where it talks about the big questions we're gonna learn. It has a handout for students already made as well, and the slide deck kind of guides them through it, has a share out, and talks about the skills you're gonna learn. Every unit has materials like this, and they are super easy to find. The teacher copies of things, again, Google Docs more often than not, so you're able to edit them and mark them up as you need. Our vocabulary lessons are really similar. We have an activity set that is a Google Doc as well that you can print out or assign digitally to your students through Google Classroom or whatever if you want to use a Google Doc option. Taking a bit of time to load, sorry about that. We'll pop back over there. And then they're getting to our reading lessons. This preview or assign button will take you right to our CommonLit 360 reading lessons and writing lessons. And I want to make sure to orient you to the page to see where you need to go if you're going to do pen to paper PDF or if you're going to assign digitally. Perfect. So here I am at my student assignment preview. So everything I'm seeing now is what my students would see, well, at least below this bar, what my students would see if I assigned it to them. You'll see there's a lesson overview. We give them a purpose for reading. We call out the vocab, the high impact vocab they're going to be learning. But at the top, I have my 2 assignment options. I can either download the materials and, have my students read via this PDF, print it out. There are those during reading questions we were talking about. They still come with the PDF. You don't lose that, but we definitely, there's the customizable slides, but we definitely recommend digital because it saves all of the student work, their student answers to all of these questions. Annotations and notes could not be easier. And when you assign these digitally, again, you're able to actually see your students' annotations. They can adjust the font size. There's the read aloud option, the translate option. Again, everything is here for you. And as you move through, you'll finally get to that independent practice piece. These are automatically graded for you because they're multiple choice. And again, we're giving those exemplar responses for short answer when you grade these as well. And it also ends with some nice reflection and feedback opportunities for your students. These are not necessary to complete for a student to submit, but a really nice way to see if the lesson was impactful for your students. If you do want to assign it digitally, you just have to press this big blue assign button. You can choose the class period that you want to assign it to. If I go back to part 1, I can even edit this and say, like, please complete this lesson before Friday. If I want to remind people of the due date, if I move through the parts, I can enable this whole class reading to make sure that students know we're doing a whole class read. Or if I want to assign this independent and want to modify, a great option, I can just turn it right off. And then with these instructional questions, I can either keep them optional if I want students to move through them, or I can require them, meaning that students have to answer the questions and say that they've turned and talked, or highlight the text and move on before they can get to the rest of the text. But again, you can turn that on or off. It's another great option for customizing the lesson. And all you have to do is set a due date, click assign, and there we go. You can also post with Google Classroom. We integrate with Google Classroom for free. Now, I know I want to be mindful of your time, so I'm going to move a little bit quickly through the writing lesson. But again, you have your grammar lessons, your related media, discussion, grammar quiz, everything is here, super easy. And the writing lesson, I just want to be able to highlight, it looks really similar to our reading lessons. You're able to move through all the different prompts, all the different pieces, everything is totally made for you, and you can download all the materials you need at the top right as well. I also quickly want to highlight while I have you here, going back to CommonLit, I'm going to my classes, or the CommonLit homepage, excuse me, student performance. This is where you're going to get all of that amazing data from a CommonLit digital lesson. If I go to period 1, where I just assigned that lesson, I can see all the data for my students already, their overall performance snapshot, class assignment averages, performance by assignment. All my 360 assignments would show up here if I was assigning them digitally. And again, this is totally free. CommonLit 360 itself, the teacher lessons and materials are free, as well as the rest of our library. What is not free, but a really good option for a school or district, we would never charge teachers for access to materials. Our rollout package, though, is for schools and districts. This is for places that are really interested in rolling out 360, as well as our library and assessments with a lot more emphasis. And there are 2 real main things that are beneficial about this package if you do want to explore using 360 more. And this is our PD modules. So these are available for partner schools and districts. These modules allow you to dig in deep to key parts of the unit. They help you calendar plan. They show you the most essential parts of the unit and talks about the writing lessons, the reading lessons, and tips for prioritizing the lessons. These are a paid feature, but everything else, your unit guide, the unit lessons, is totally free. So this is more for the folks in the room that might be looking to bring 360 to their school or district, and we can provide some more information about how to reach out to our team about this. And the other paid component that we want to highlight is our assessment series. These are helpful to support progress monitoring along with CommonLit 360. They come with a few passages, multiple choice questions, and really exciting data for you and your students to dig into. And then also some of our rostering options from our partner schools that make 360 rollout really successful. So I know I'm a little bit of over time, so I buzzed through that last part, but it is really meaningful to be able to share this with you. And I'm super excited that so many of you showed up. And I hope that this has helped you get ready to implement 360 in your classroom right away. But we would really love your feedback and love to hear if this is helpful for you, what you want to see more of from us. And if you are interested in the 360 rollout package that is super affordable for schools, please email my team at partnerships@commonlit.org. We will be happy to set up a call with you to talk about how to roll out 360 in the best way for you. So I know my colleagues are going to start sending out the surveys now, and I'm going to join them on Q&A to help answer some questions. But thank you so much, and really excited to hopefully see you guys on CommonLit. All right, folks, we're going to close out now. And if you have any other questions, feel free to go to help@commonlit.org or partnerships@commonlit.org. Or 360@commonlit.org. We're super excited to help you. I hope you have a great rest of your evening and happy back to school.